From murdering his own brother with a bow and arrow for stealing his food, to feasting on top of the Russian nobility, Genghis Khan sure has had his fair share of outlandish legend. But how exactly did the legend that Genghis Khan killed 1,748,000 people in a single hour become so popular? Today, we are going to be focusing on the events that unfolded in Nishapur in 1221 AD. First of all, let's set the scene. Khan and his army have just subdued China and are now embarking west to conquer as much land as possible. Located in modern-day Iran, Nishapur was a bustling cultural centre with a population of approximately 1.7 million, but that was all to change once Khan arrived. Despite what you would assume with his absurd death count, after all, he was said to have killed 40 million people over his lifetime, Genghis was somewhat of a popular ruler within the East, adopting a self-proclaimed ideology whereby those who surrendered before him would be spared, apart from the rulers of course. The Nishapurans, regrettably in hindsight, ignored Genghis's offer and decided to battle the Mongolians, and war commenced. As expected, the Mongolians had seized the city with ease, but it had been discovered that Genghis's favourite son-in-law, Tokachar, had been killed by a bow and arrow. How? It cannot be certain. Either he was murdered during the initial siege, or killed during a revolt after the city had been conquered. Regardless, Tokachar's wife was devastated at the news, and demanded that every last soul within the city walls be slaughtered, sparing not even women, children, or pets. Fearing that the wounded would survive, she requested that each person be beheaded and their skulls piled into pyramids to ensure none would survive. I know, kinda brutal. Historians estimate that the population of the city was 1,748,000 people, hence where the legend comes from. But where the single hour factor comes from still remains a mystery, as does the real number of victims. If we do the maths, however, to kill 1,748,000 people in an hour, there would have to have been 29,133 deaths per minute, and that's just not realistic. As the saying goes, the winners write history, so the accurate number will almost certainly never be known. In fact, there also exists no evidence that Genghis Khan was ever present during the siege, so the legend could be a complete myth as a pure scare tactic for the rest of the developed world. No Google back then, remember. Whatever we do know, many people would have lost their lives during this event, and while the legend was almost certainly exaggerated, Genghis Khan was a brutal warlord that slaughtered millions during his reign. Regardless, his effect can be seen throughout human history, and his infamy will remain on deep into the history books.